most people's misconception. This is part of what we're trying to do here when they think that a game designer, you know,
plays games all day?
Somewhere. Yeah, plays games or just decides what is fun.
We play we play one game all day, and usually one 30-second segment of that game repeatedly until it's right. I'm probably at the point where I hate this level right now. I don't want to see it again, but hopefully it brings joy and looks cool to other people. But yeah, if I hear this dialogue one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
Each year, tens of thousands of people flock to downtown Seattle for the Penny Arcade Expo. Inside the cavernous expo hall, people line up for hours to play everything they get their hands on, whether it's a AAA blockbuster action game from EA or a little-known cult hit from an indie studio called Hidden Path Entertainment. For the past several months, we've been embedded with Hidden Path as they spend a year making their newest game, Defense Grid 2. From the beginning, Hidden Path knew they would have to make the game bigger, faster, and better than the first Defense Grid. And they knew Defense Grid fans wanted something else: multiplayer. The game has been in the works for months, but the multiplayer has only had a few days. In a few days more, Hidden Path will show off Defense Grid 2 to the world. Now all they have to do is finish the game on time.
Last week, Shannon and I went to Gamescom to talk about Windborne and Defense Grid 2. And this week, there's this little thing called PAX where we're going to have our first ever booth and show Defense Grid 2 and Windborne. Yeah.
Okay, so PAX. So our booth is done. At 8 a.m. tomorrow, I will still be going on site and bringing TV mounts, speaker mounts, and a carload of stuff. In booth, one, have fun, because other people will have fun when you're having fun. Smile, be welcoming, don't swear, that's gonna be hardest for me. And maybe Krista. Be engaging, but don't chase people into the booth if you're working in the front of the booth.
People may need help understanding what they're doing in Defense Grid or what maybe a first objective is in Windborne. Let them play, don't have to, control, but making sure that they feel, that they know what they're doing if they don't already.
And have fun, it's supposed to be fun, and thank you, because I know it's Labor Day weekend, and it wouldn't happen without all of you helping. I think the value of this is definitely the feedback. If you've got 3,000 people coming in and out of your booth over the course of 4 days, that's a lot of constructive feedback, good feedback, bad feedback. My biggest fear is that the games play correctly, because that's all appearance and that makes or breaks how things look to the public.
The thing I was most worried about actually was the play. I felt like technically we were in pretty good shape. And there's still a few things that they're trying to do, make it look a little nicer and have some better feedback to the player. But I wanted to make sure that we had a fun loop.
Back at the studio in Bellevue, the Defense Grid 2 team is in high gear. The core game is finished, but it needs to be tested and tweaked. There's new art, sound effects, and a handful of aspects of the game design itself that need to be ironed out. The mood is intense but focused, and lead designer John Dowd is feeling all the weight on himself.
I'm the last stop, I think, before it hits public eyes. I'll be nervous all weekend and leading up to this weekend. So we'll see. Yeah.
I couldn't be as hard on John as John is on John. He is very demanding of himself. He puts a tremendous amount of pressure on himself. We have a very high bar of what we want to ship. I would say John's bar is even higher than that.
My biggest concern back in May was multiplayer, and we've pretty much pushed it to the 11th hour. As of last week, I think it was last Monday, we had it functioning. So we were able to actually experience it. So I think we're at the point where it's polished, which is awesome. So
we were kind of right on the edge of feeling like we were getting really close, but not being there, and kind of, discovering new things that we had to do. It made everybody a little nervous, I think.
Should we just meet and then we can
We'll do what Daisy says.
talk about this stuff? Okay. John?
I am creating work for Mark and Charlie and whoever else gets sucked into this.
And when he says he is, I'm an instigator as well. But we're trying to come up with the knobs that we can turn to try and balance out multiplayer.
The score system, luckily, has some values I can tweak the way we had set up the values would cause a significant divergence. And so I've tweaked some numbers, and hopefully they're going to be at least in parallel for a little bit, and hopefully there'll be some back and forth. That's the hope. So the playtest we're having, I will be looking for that stuff.
After just 9 days, the multiplayer design is locked and burned to disk for the trip across the bridge, where, just a few hours later, it will be installed in the booth at the convention center. PAX will open its doors in less than 24 hours. It's critical the install goes smoothly, and it does, but when they start to play the game, they notice a problem.
Move the mouse around and see if you feel any input latency. The Defense Grid one is really, really, really latent.
Single player does not do it with firewall on or off.
What it feels like at 60 frames a second in single player is in multiplayer feels a lot laggier. So the problem is it falls into that area of if people run into it, they may just not like the feel of it and not know why.
We're not sure what's causing the problem,
Okay.
but the more machines that are playing.
So let's keep these two and unplug the rest of them, and just unplug them up here because it's gonna be hard to match them up. All right, you good, Chu?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's like maybe 300 milliseconds.
It's so hard to tell, right? Like it's so much of it is just like intuition.
No,
it
just
feels
like
late.
move your
to you.
mouse.
No, it's late. Yeah, it's squirrely.
Yeah.
And it's getting
getting worse.
Yeah, it's gotten worse.
So we had a couple of different versions of the build that we wanted to use today that have different features that would be kind of like nice to have things. And we injected them at the last minute. We did a pretty decent test pass on them, we thought, but it seems to be that we ended up missing a performance issue that occurs over time. We really don't want to show it in that light, so we're going to go back and get another build, and that'll get us with our best foot forward.
To me, it really feels like either culling is not working or... Huh? Culling is turned off? Seriously? Oh, well, that answers that question. Culling is basically, if you imagine when you're looking for it, if you were drawing this scene that you're looking at right now, you would draw the stuff behind me in the chair, but you might not want to draw the ping pong table behind you or the board because it's not relevant to what you're seeing right now. Culling is the part that goes through and says, don't even bother rendering that. It's completely out of your view. As soon as we did that, frame rate doubled.
Last year, PAX Prime hosted more than 70,000 attendees in just 3 days. This year it's even bigger and spread out over 4. So far, the reaction to Defense Grid 2 is hard to measure. The game is running smoothly, but are people enjoying it?
When you bring people in, especially people who already love games, they're going to give you their opinions. You're going to see it on their faces. You're going to be able to watch as they're playing. And the hope was that people would love it. They would have a lot of fun. They would go, yeah, I want to do this. And for the most part, that's what we saw.
I've seen a lot of people come through the booth. I've been here for a couple hours and it's been steady. So the diehard fans are really excited because of the multiplayer. The new players are pretty excited too. People that have even never played tower defense games are having a lot of fun.
The game was really awesome. It was a lot of fun. It's interesting to have like a multiplayer tower defense game. It was really cool.
I'd never actually heard of this game. It was like a quick learning game, so you could figure it out pretty quickly, and I really liked it actually.
Honestly, I think it added the one thing that was missing from the first game, is the multiplayer. Because I loved the first game. I mean, I played hours and hours of it, but it adds a whole new dynamic to the game.
I've seen a lot of lead changes. So when I'm watching those graphs, I see them cross up all the time. Someone takes a lead, someone loses the lead. That's really cool to see.
He won, I was beating him for like most of the game, but I guess that was just enough to make his minions too hard for me to kill.
Up until this point, like all the praise that Defense Grid gets, it's articles, it's a quote somewhere, it's a comment somewhere in the forums. I've never had many people come up to me and say that they really like the game. It's been tiring, but that's okay.